Hey guys, this is Mr. Sal. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to be talking about the mean, median, mode, and range. Mostly the mean and the median in a comparison and maybe making some predictions like you see here. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. Alright guys, go ahead and copy these numbers down for these four groups and I'll explain what they are here in a moment. Alright, so from these we're going to be doing a couple different things before we look at what they are and maybe make some predictions for these. So on this first one, we got to go back a little bit, but this is more of a review. Either way, we need to, not for each group, but just for the whole thing, we want to find the mean for these. And the mean is found by taking the sum of the numbers and then dividing it by the number of the numbers. So the first thing we need to do is find the sum of all of these numbers, which means we're just going to add all of them together. So 26 plus 25 plus 28 plus 26 plus 25 plus 25 and so forth until we get to 12. So the sum of the numbers in this one. So the sum of the numbers, 388, divided by the number of numbers. If we count all those, we should get 17 of them. And so the actual mean, 388 divided by 17. We're down to this to the nearest tenth. 22.8, and in this case, this was throws, so we'll just label it, and then we'll talk about what they actually are. After the mean, the next would be to find the median. And to find the median, it's going to be better to list these in order first. So let's go and list these in order, and then we'll find what the actual median is. So here's a list of all 17 numbers. So what is the actual median? The median is the middle number after we've listed them from least to greatest. Of course, it wouldn't matter if it was the middle from greatest to least. It's still going to be the same number. So how do we find the middle? There's a couple ways to do this. Is we can go through and just check off the lowest and then the biggest, and then just keep doing this until we find the number that's in the middle, like these. And now we have that middle number right here, 25. So the median for this list of numbers is 25 for the median. If you have two numbers in the middle, that's a really good question. We'll get to that in the next part of the lesson here. So, because you'd have two numbers in the middle, really what you would do is find the middle number between those two, the middle. But there's a special way to do it, kind of. Next up are the mode. The mode is the number that occurs the most often, and since we already have a list, this should be pretty easy to find. All right, very good. You guys got it. 1, 2, 3, 4 27s in that list. So the mode in this case is 27. Last value is going to be the range. The range is found by taking the maximum number. And from right here, we would subtract the smallest or minimum value. So for this one, we already have it listed from least to greatest. The maximum value being 28 minus the minimum value, which is farthest to the left in our list, 12, which is 16. So there's a range of 16 values, or 16 between the highest and lowest value. We got a mode of 27, a median of 25, and a mean of 22.8. In this case, throws. So now that we have this, it may be helpful for you guys to understand what the heck we did. So in the backfield there, we got the track, then there's some soccer goals right here. Is we took a ball, and then we threw it, and then we threw it, and we threw it many times to this fence, and then we threw it many times back to this fence, and when we finished, we recorded the number of throws. Group won the first time, right? They did it in 26 throws. All right? So, since they did it in 26 throws, and then the next time they did it 25 throws, what do you guys think is the reason that Group 4 had so many fewer throws than all the other groups. So Group 4, by the way, only had 2. They only did it twice because they came a little late. All right, we would consider that a possibility, right? Knowing nothing more about this activity, probably Group 4 maybe had better throwers. What else? All right, yeah, maybe they didn't have as many peoples. All right, as it turns out, yes, the balls were different, okay? So let's talk about the different types of balls that we used. All right, now I may not have spelt all 4 of these correct, but that's okay. In any case, we had the golf ball, lacrosse ball. Hot ball is one of those little red balls you guys use in PE when you guys play indoor hockey or whatever the heck you do. Or maybe you don't, whatever. It's a small hollow ball that's rubbery. It's like that's good. A wiffle ball. Can someone describe a wiffle ball for us, please? Yeah.
It's a baseball with holes in it.
Yeah, it's a baseball with holes in it. Is it very dense? No, it's plastic on the outside and nothing on the inside, okay? So now that we understand that, these are all, hand-held balls. So it's not like anyone was throwing something that you can't hold in your hand. But if we're looking at these 4 balls, we should be able to make a prediction in terms of which group had which ball. So what do you guys think? Why would you think that Group 4 would have the lacrosse ball? Yeah?
Because it's heavier and harder.
Very good. It's heavier. It's handheld. It's not so heavy, right? Like a shot put. And does it bounce?
Yes.
Yeah. So, if you guys play lacrosse, you throw it at someone's head, bounce. Right? Okay. So, what about Group 1? What do you guys think? Group 1, what ball do you think they had? All right, why do you guys think Group 1 had the wiffle ball then? Yeah? Yeah, the wiffle ball doesn't go very far, right? You throw it out as hard as you can, maybe a few feet at a time, right? So we've got 2 balls left, the golf ball or the hot ball. Which one do you think Group 2 had? Why do you think Group 3 had the golf ball? Yeah?
Because it's probably like the second heaviest, and it's like small, so you can get a better grip on it.
Okay, yeah, it's very small, so maybe you can throw it farther, and it's kind of meant to go farther even though you're supposed to hit it, right? All right, so these are the predictions. Let's see what actually happened up in here. Group 1 had the lacrosse ball, as it turned out, which may seem really weird, okay, because the other classes said the same thing. Group 2, all right, so you guys did get the golf ball one correct. Some of you guys said the wiffle one may have been the second one, but that first one, not many of you probably would have said the lacrosse ball. It's very bouncy, very easy to throw, small enough to grip. So what do you think happened with this group? Maybe some bad throwers. What else?
Oh my God, my God. The wind.
The wind.
Weather.
Okay, well the wind affects all of them, but it does affect it differently though, right?
Like the weather in like the rain.
Actually, let's talk about the wind. Would you expect the wind to which ball would you expect the wind to affect the most?
The wiffle ball because it has holes in it, so it like moves.
Yeah, the wiffle ball because of all the holes inside, right?
And then
I think it is that Group 1 had the lacrosse ball, or took so many throws to get down and back. As it turns out, Group 1 just wanted to take their time and throw the ball. They weren't throwing it their farthest every time, all right? Which does make a difference. Whereas the wiffle ball people were throwing it their farthest every time, which is why it's pretty close with the lacrosse ball, as it turns out, right? Yeah. So what the heck happened with the hot ball? Why did it take so few for the hot ball? It's small, it's hollow, it's flexible, kind of like a racket ball or a tennis ball. And when they threw it, what do you think? Why do you think they had so many fewer throws? The hot ball is only slightly bouncy in the grass, but there were some better throwers. Either that or they just weren't keeping very good track of their throws, which is also a possibility. Okay, but this is a good way that we can use data to make determinations and guess or estimate approximately, in this case, which balls were used for this activity. It's pretty good stuff. Let's talk about that actually. The golf ball. What would make the golf ball kind of hard to throw? Well, it's kind of slippery, right? It's hard to get a good grip on it. It is, right? It's got the little perforations in it or whatever the heck you call them.
Ball?
No, I'm talking about the golf ball, man. What the heck?
Well, it's like
Also, well, I don't know. For me, it's really small, so it's really hard to get a good grip on it. You know, it's like trying to hold. You know what I'm saying? So I would look at the golf ball and think it's actually more difficult to throw, but you know, without actually doing the activity, that's just theory for us.
let's go do that.
All right, now this was many years ago, 1997, 98 season, back when the Bulls cheated and Michael Jordan pushed Brian Russell in the finals, and then the NBA cheated and one of the refs admitted it, so eat that. Anyways, Michael Jordan was a big-time ball hog, as everyone knows, and without Scottie Pippen or Dennis Rodman, he wouldn't have won nothing. Whatever. I can be a bitter Jazz fan. In any case, Michael Jordan was a professional basketball player in the NBA for 15 years. The NBA is basketball. I know some of you guys don't watch basketball, and that's okay. We don't really need to know anything more about the game than that people score points in it for this activity. He is frequently mentioned as the greatest ball hog of all time. He played for the Chicago Bulls team for most of his basketball career, and then he went all number 45 on everyone and went and played for the Wizards. He retired from the NBA in 2003. The 1997-98 season is one of the years that the Chicago Bulls won the NBA championship by cheating. Below is a list of points scored by Chicago Bulls players from team members who played over 40 games in the season. So it doesn't include all their players, just the guys that scored more than 40 points. The Toronto Raptors basketball team came in last in their division in 97-98. They were so horrible. Below is a list of points scored by team members. So we need to notice a couple things about these two charts. Okay, in basketball, the more points you score, then you win. Okay, it's not like golf where you want a lower score. Just want to clarify that because some of you guys don't know what the heck basketball is. Okay. In any case, we can notice on this chart right here that old ball hog right here had a lot more points than even their second most highest scorer, Tony Kukoc, right here. Actually, he has more than twice as much as the second highest scorer, whereas the Raptors had a guy with 1,300 points, and the next highest guy is pretty close, right, at 1,287. That's something that should be noticeable in this chart. The next big thing that we should notice right here is that the Bulls, who won the championship, scored less than the last place Toronto Raptors, who were quite horrible, even though they had some pretty big names up in here. You guys may notice some of these names, pretty big names up in here, but they were awful. They were awful. Without calculating the actual values, which we will do, which team do you think has the highest points per player mean, or the average? Which team do you think averages more points for every one player, and why do you think that? Yeah, so I'd say probably the Raptors because they had more scorers with 1,000 or more points. So player for player, the Raptors have more players that have more numbers, even though old ball hog over here had, almost twice as many as the Raptors' highest scorer, Kevin Wills.
Oh, if you look at it, though.
All right, now that is a good point, though.
Jordan is unreal.
All right, so the Raptors do have one more person. How is that going to affect the mean?
Cheaters.
Is it going to affect the mean?
Yes.
Yeah, right? Why?
Because they have to divide it by more numbers.
Yeah, now you got to divide it by a bigger number than the Bulls, who have less people. So is that going to change anything in terms of what your prediction is in terms of who has more average points per player? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, that's something we'll have to figure out. All right. All right, now what you need to do is take a moment and find the Bulls' mean, median, and the Raptors' mean and median. We'll start with the Bulls, of course. All right, before you guys start adding these all together, you don't have to. As it turns out, they added them for us right here by finding the total. So the sum of the numbers, 7,429 points, divided by, and then it tells us how many players, 11 players, and that will give us the mean. So the average for the Chicago Bulls, 675.4 points. Now let's find the median. So on this one, I mean, they're already in line for us. So this one kind of cancels out at these. These ones cancel, cancel, cancel. It looks like it's right there at 416 points. All right, so we have the mean and the median for the Chicago Bulls. Now let us go in and find the mean and median for the Raptors. All right, this is good stuff because some of you guys are still adding these together when in fact they've already given them to us right here. So that is the sum, 8,583. And we are going to divide this by the number of players, which it tells us is 12 players. So let's go ahead and divide this up. So I got 715.25 points per player as a mean. Now let's go and find the median as well. So we'll just cancel these out. These cancel here, 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 right here, and here. All right, so we end up with two values now in the middle, 658 and 630. So formally, we would add these two together, 658 plus 630. And to find the middle, we'd just divide those by 2. So that should give us 644 points. Which some of you guys understand that 644 is actually right in the middle of those two numbers. So if you add 14 to 630, you get 644, add another 14, and you get 658. All right? It is the average of those two middle numbers when there's two numbers. Because we're taking the number of numbers 2 and dividing it by the sum of the numbers divided by the number of numbers. There we go. So we were right with our prediction. We predicted that the Raptors would win, or have a higher mean, rather. So what do you guys think it is? Why do you think the purpose is that the Raptors stunk so bad back that season when they actually scored more points on average than the Bulls? What do you guys think was the purpose of that, or why? All right, as it turns out, in basketball, defense is crucial. And so even though the Bulls scored less, they allowed their opponents to score even less. Okay?
Like the All-Star game.
So the Raptors, although they may have scored quite a bit, they may have allowed people to score also even more. So there are several reasons where this could happen or why it would happen that way. But this is a very unique situation because where you want to score points, you also need to prevent people from scoring points as well. Is the mean or the median a more accurate measure of center for the number of points scored by the Bulls? Explain your answer. So in terms of looking at the middle for the Bulls, would we expect the median to be more accurate or the mean? Let's look at the numbers, right? All right. What do you guys think? Is the mean or the median more representative of the players in terms of how much we would expect them to score?
Because the mean is like the average and the median is like...
All right, let's place the values, all right? Let's highlight where these values would be. So 416, we know the middle was just right here. 675.4 would be up in here, right? So notice the 675 really only is representative of about maybe 5 of the 11 players, which is a little skewed. whereas the 416 is right in the middle. Why is the mean actually so high when really there was only 3 non-ball hogs that scored more than the average, right? So why is the mean so high? Because you had Mr. Ball Hog over here shooting the ball the stinking time, taking the ball away from everyone else. So they didn't even have the possibility of shooting and making the points, even though they probably could have. So as it turns out, for this question, the median is more representative of the center than the mean. And we can emphasize this in the next question. What would happen if you replace Michael Jordan's 2,357 points with 10,000 points? And we're going to find the new mean and the median for the Bulls points per player with that number. Did either value change by much? We'll find out. There we go. So I'm going to replace that with 10 grand. All right, so let's find the total first for the Bulls. But now, of course, with Michael Jordan at 10,000 points. All right, so 15,072 points divided by 11 players. So the mean now is at 1,370.1 points, whereas the median in this case, again, we're just looking at the middle number, is 416, right? So, did the mean change at all? By how much? A lot, it almost more than doubled. Did the median change at all? No, it did not. You guys see how that number changed the higher this value got for Michael Jordan? Right here, right?
Yeah.
So, as it turns out, when we have unusual values like this, even the original value was unusual. We call that an outlier. It's an unusual amount or something that we would expect or never really expect to happen for the most part, okay? So, good old Michael Jordan ball hog skewing the data.